Hi, everyone. It's Lydia with the Avanti Wellness Podcast and YouTube channel. And today I'm excited to introduce you to our next featured guest. I have with me here Ashley Kitchens. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Lydia. Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to get into this conversation. And full transparency, I'm just now meeting Ashley, so we took a few minutes to get to know each other and talk a little bit. And I'm so excited to hit the record button and have you all hear what we're going to be talking about today. So, Ashley is part of Plant Centered Nutrition. Is that right?
That's right. Yep.
Awesome. So we're going to talk about plants today and how much we both love and honor and revere plants and why you should too, right?
I
So
like that.
yeah, so I just made that
It's wonderful. It's perfect.
off the cuff, guys. You're getting it real time here. So Ashley is a coach and they have a business. I say they because she's with Katie and they do a coaching business. And so I Ashley and I got connected through a networking opportunity and I was like, "Oh, I would love to have you on the show." And I just want to admit, if y'all have heard, if you've listened to any of my other recordings, that I believe in the power of plants so much. I have personal friends and family members who have transformed their lives by turning more towards a plant centered life. I want to be like that too. I'm not giving up. I told Ashley, I'm not giving up on myself. I'm not there yet. I eat my nice little cabbage and my spinach, but I am not there at the level that I know my body wants and desires. So that's why we're going to talk with Ashley today, and hopefully she can motivate us all, right? With
That's
some
right.
wise. So enough of me talking. Ashley, would you please introduce yourself so we could get to know you a little better?
Sure. So I am a plant-based registered dietitian. And I was telling Lydia earlier, I was like, I never planned to be plant-based. I actually never planned to really be a dietitian either, but here we are. And part of how that unfolded, which was to my surprise, was I grew up on an Angus cattle farm. So Lydia, again, never anticipated. I'd never met a vegan before. I was like 25. So I loved growing up on a farm, but I also grew up with a lot of GI issues. So the doctors couldn't quite figure out what was going on. My parents couldn't figure out what was going on, and poor things, they would chase me around the house, like first put suppositories up my what, just because I wasn't going to the bathroom regularly. So that was really the biggest issue that I was struggling with when it came to my digestive system. I was, just to be fully transparent, and probably because I'm a dietitian, I feel like we're used to talking about bowel movements and different things like that.
Yeah, it's
I
an
was going to,
indicator.
it is, it's a huge indicator. Your body is telling you, hey, something is not right, whether you're having loose stools or whether you are having trouble going to the bathroom or you're chronically constipated. That's a sign your body's like, hey, something's off here. And so I was struggling with that my entire life. And I never, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, I never really made the connection with what I was eating and how it was impacting my body and how it was truly impacting my digestive system. And Lydia, I became a registered dietitian. I was still not plant based. And I was educating my patients and clients on, if you have chronic constipation, this is what you do. You move your body, drink lots of water, make sure you're eating plenty of fiber. And then I stepped back and I was like, wait a second, I'm doing all of those things. I'm eating a fairly healthy diet. I'm moving, I'm exercising, I'm drinking plenty of water, I'm eating lots of fiber. I was telling Lydia earlier, my friends would, as a joke, they would give me different like fiber supplements as gifts because they knew that was a big part of my life that I was struggling with. And so there was this disconnect with how I was presenting education and information from a dietitian perspective.
Right,
And I was
what
like,
you were
well,
taught.
and what I was taught, yeah, because I mean, truthfully, I wasn't taught really anything about plant-based eating, very
Right.
little about veganism. And I was in school for 7.5 years. And so I started to really just try and figure out, okay, well, essentially I came to a fork in the road. I was on and off medication just to help regulate everything. And I knew that I could continue down this path and the medication that I was using would continue to go up and up and up, or I could try and figure out what the heck was going on with my body. And so I started just becoming more in tune. I came across some documentaries on Netflix. So this was back in 2012.
Oh, wait, tell me which ones. I want to hear because I think I've probably seen them.
So the first one I came across was Forks Over
Oh,
Knives.
yes, of course.
Yep,
Yeah.
I think that was one of the OGs. So that came out, I think, in 2011. So I was really thankful to come across that. And then here I am, Lydia, sitting on the couch watching this documentary that's teaching me all about plant-based eating. And I'm like, what in the world? I didn't learn any of this.
Yeah. Why aren't they
Yes.
talking about this?
Yes. And I'm sure things are different now, but back
Hopefully.
then, yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed. But then I was just like, okay, there's this message is being lost, and why aren't people talking about this more? So I started going plant-based, and I gradually started adding more things to my diet. So adding like plant milk, for example, instead of cow's milk. And maybe I would try a black bean burger instead of a ground beef burger. And I started noticing that I was going to the bathroom more regularly. I wasn't as bloated. I wasn't having as much just like fatigue and like just issues with my stomach. And I was like, wow, there might be something
Like
to this.
feeling bloated.
Oh my gosh, all the time. All the time. I just felt like my stomach was never working properly. And so the more plants I started adding to my diet, the better I felt. And then I was like, okay, this is it. The rest is history. It took me about 3 full years to fully go plant-based. But once I did that, I was it was game over. I was like, I feel too good to ever go back to eating meat and dairy as much as I loved it, because truthfully, I really did enjoy those foods. I loved having steak. I loved cow's milk. I loved cheese and eggs and all those things. But I started feeling so much better. And to me, it wasn't worth it anymore.
Yeah. When you feel the benefits of the shift, I think that's how my mom described it. Like she just doesn't feel good when she does those things anymore. So she's on the other side. She knows what life can feel like when
Yes.
you don't do those things. And
Yes.
I'm just referring to my mom because some of y'all have heard me talk about how when she was about 60 and I was about 32, I introduced her to this company and they just started educating us about plants and plant-based nutrition. And she was in a lot of pain. She was going to have knee surgery and she decided, hey, I'm going to give this a whirl and see if it changes my inflammation like they're teaching me. And so, boom, she started out. I mean, she was like 260 pounds or something at 60 years old. And so, she could barely walk down like 4
Yeah.
houses and then turn around and then come back. And then she, all the while she's changed her diet. But long story short, she's 87 now. She still works with little kids at 2 and 3 year olds at her day at the church where she's Mother's Day out. And she eats a plant centered diet. And she has
Wow.
for these 20 plus years. So she's my inspiration and she's the beacon that I look at and say, when I'm ready, I don't know what it's going to take. I'm going to stay in this conversation, but when I'm ready, I'm fully going to shift because she doesn't eat any of that anymore.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's why I have you on, because I want us all to learn, from your guidance and your story, little tips and things that you can share later in the podcast.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a big piece of it too, is being ready. Because I think if I would have received that information when I was in college or even in grad school, I don't know if I would have accepted it. And so I felt like it really was the perfect time for me to, again, you've talked about the switching,
Yeah,
flipping the switch.
have the flip switch. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like the timing was just absolutely perfect because I was at a really low point with my digestive system, and again, I didn't know where to turn, and it kind of fell into my lap with a little bit of research, and that was it.
Well, and then when you think about divine purposes for us all, I mean, it's like this is your divine purpose to teach people. You were telling me earlier you wanted to be a dietitian and people said, why do you want to be a dietitian? You were like, I don't know.
I know.
So you were being drawn into something that was part of your greater divine
Yep.
purpose. And here you are being able to help others have better lives and better health by coaching them
Yeah.
through their nutrition journey, right?
Yep. Absolutely. I figured if I could change my health around by becoming plant-based, I was like, there has to be at least one other person on this planet that it could also benefit. And so that's part of the reason I started my business. And when I finally realized why I became a dietitian is because there are other people who are, in my opinion, unnecessarily suffering. And part of it is because of the food that they're putting in their body day in and day out. And sometimes it just takes maybe working with someone or again receiving that information to realize, oh wow, food does have an impact on how I feel, on how my inflammation is, going throughout my body like your mom did. There's so many examples of that. So it's pretty powerful.
I'm just glad to know there's people out there like you that when the time comes, people have a hand that they can hold to go through the journey. And
Yeah,
that's why I want to let everybody know about you. So, you talked about medication earlier. I'm curious. I mean, we have to be careful what we say, so we're not going to down anything. But let me just
sure.
ask you, you said that you were on all this resources, let's just call it that,
Yep.
resources that were not working and you just kept getting up the ante. Oh, more, you
Yeah.
need more. And so,
Yep.
I didn't, I don't have that problem, but I was just thinking that, so there's a lot of medication that they put people on to push their bowels
Oh,
through, like, and
yes.
it
Yeah.
works or it doesn't work.
Well, you basically go from one extreme. Well, in my case, you would go from one extreme to the other of maybe being backed up for 7 days, 10 days to
Oh
all
my
of a sudden
gosh.
you're up all night in the bathroom. And so that was me going back and forth between that. I was like, I can't keep doing that. It was horrendous. And I know my partner, he was like, well, what is going, like, you can't be on and off medication for the rest of your
Oh,
life
I see. Because it
or
was like
resources.
coming through too much, like you
Yeah.
couldn't. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I just want to say this guy, and then we'll move on. I don't want to discuss medication because that's not the answer. Well, it's not my answer. I'm just talking about my own personal experience
Yeah.
because I have to be careful. Is this one guy that used to teach us? He's since passed away. I think he lived to 91 and he was like super plant-based and like a big ambassador plant-based. And he used to say that when you take, ongoing, reoccurring medication for something. I mean, I want to just preface y'all. I understand that there are cases there it's life-threatening and,
Oh,
but let's
yeah.
just talk about, something that other people might have found resolution through plants. Okay. So like, I'm just trying to talk general, but he basically said like, when you take something like that, your body and your organ that organ that is
Mm.
not working or that body system, okay, it could be like the respiratory system or digestive system or something, is on welfare. And so basically it's just getting the pill is doing it for the body so the body doesn't have to work. So the
Yeah.
key is heal the system and the system will start working again. So you got to take your systems off welfare and
Yep.
find the resources that heal the system. And I'm just saying that I've met a lot of people who have found resolution in their system healing
Mm.
through plants. And
Yeah.
so I'm just encouraging. This is just a conversation of encouragement. Like, I don't know what anybody's situation is. Don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. Keep fighting, keep researching, keep asking the questions, keep looking, just like Forks Over Knives. And then have you seen the new one? It's a couple years old now called What the Health?
Yes, that's another
Yeah,
really good
that
one.
one's powerful. Oh, that
Yeah.
was painful, right? Because he was in people's faces about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but I mean, in a good way because he's bringing to light the absurdity of some things.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a good one.
Yes, that's yeah,
Yeah.
there are so many good ones. If you search, even plant-based on different platforms, there are a lot of great documentaries out there and that's one of the important things that I typically recommend to people who are considering going plant-based is, one, take the pressure off of yourself to do it overnight because the
Right. It's
most
not gonna
sustainable way to
happen.
no,
Yeah.
yeah. The most sustainable way to do it is to gradually do it, to gradually start adding things to your diet. And like I said, it took me 3 years, but the other thing is to educate yourself, watch documentaries, go, borrow books from the library that are centered around plant-based, or look up maybe if you have a health condition, plant-based eating and your health condition to see if there could be a benefit, which more than likely there is, just because Lydia and I both know that there's a lot of power in eating more plants.
Yeah, and I mean, people like you have podcasts, so people can listen
Yeah.
while they're
Yes.
driving to your podcast where you're talking about this every day. So if you don't feel like you're ready, but you're kind of curious, just surround yourself with people who have hope, because there
Yes.
is hope out there. And that's what Avanti Wellness is. I mean, I want hope for myself and I want hope for others, which is why I'm doing the journey publicly, because I'm definitely not perfect and I'm struggling in my own life, but I know some of the answers for me are just within my decision and within my reach, because I have stories of people who've transformed their lives when they've changed over to, even if you don't fully transform your life, like you don't have, I want to just preface this, you don't have to be vegan in order to have a great life.
No.
What plants do for you though is they enhance your life. So even
Yes.
if you're just still eating those things that someone says, oh, those things didn't work for me, then include and add the plants and you'll see the miracles start to happen with healthier feelings, right?
Yes.
More energy, more excitement, more polyphenols in your life,
Yep.
Everybody needs polyphenols. They add energy.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And we
So
get them from plants.
yeah, so
Yeah.
exactly. And actually I feel like this is a good time to by the way, did you finish introducing yourself? I kind of got off the
I think I did. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. So we'll dive into more deeper conversations. But I mentioned earlier, I was asking Ashley if she had read a book called Glucose Revolution. And it's a lady who worked at 23andMe, and she basically figured out that they were doing all this nutrition, ancestry type studying and DNA changing and blah, blah, blah. And there's a whole chapter in her book that she talks about plants and how where glucose comes from and how glucose grows plants, and it's the sun that creates the glucose. That, and please do not quote me because I haven't listened to the thing in a while and I'm not a scientist, but basically I got the impression that the glucose makes the plants, and then the plants, we humans need glucose for our brain health, which runs every function in the body. So you can't give up glucose, but when you have plant glucose, it's like one of the most healing, fascinating ways that your body can optimally operate. And so that's what Ashley's helping people figure out. And so, what do you regarding the plants, let's just talk about plants right now. Like, you
Yeah.
share with us what you know about plants and why they work.
Oh, well, there's so many benefits to them. If we think about right now in our culture, there is a big obsession with protein. And when we think about protein, we think about meat typically, but plants have protein too, which is really phenomenal. So I think the main question that comes up when people are thinking about going plant-based or even asking other plant-based people or vegans is, well, where do you get your protein? Are you getting enough protein? And so to kind of bust that myth just really quickly, the answer is yes, plants have protein. They contain all of the essential amino acids as well. So it's very, very hard to become deficient in protein when you're eating a well-rounded plant-based diet that is also providing enough calories to fuel your body. So we'll, I guess, say that first, but plants are so rich in antioxidants, which we know can be incredibly powerful in your body. They're rich in vitamins and minerals and fiber, which, if we think about, again, our obsession with protein, I would love to see this obsession switch to fiber, because fiber is so impactful for our gut health, for how things are moving throughout our body. There's just a lot of great benefits to that. And also, plants have a ton of water. So they help you, in addition to the water that you're drinking throughout the day, but they also help keep you hydrated, which is pretty phenomenal. And I mean, some of the clients I've worked with, I've put clients on plant-based diets for the sole purpose of helping them with certain health conditions, like lowering their cholesterol, like putting their type 2 diabetes into remission. So they're coming off insulin or they're coming off metformin, coming off statins if they have high cholesterol. And so there's so much power in these plants that we just don't give them enough credit for. That's my opinion, Lydia.
Yes. And I want to add that, as I'm listening to everyone talk around my life, that same guy that talked about that other thing, he used to say, a silverback gorilla is fully muscular. A elephant is got tons of muscles. A ox, that's very strong. A rhino, cows, these big muscular protein muscle animals. What do they eat, guys? They eat plants. So for you to understand that actually eating plants is what are the building blocks to create muscles, then don't eat the cow for your protein, because then your body has to turn it into an amino acid first before it can use it in the cells. But what do you get in a plant? Don't you get amino acids in plants too?
Yep, all of them, all 20
So
amino
it's
acids.
already broken down. The body can uptake the amino acid, the cellular aspect of what builds the protein in your body. That's why, have y'all ever heard of athletes who have gone plant-based and they actually were better performers than when they were eating non-plant based? So it's because your body just functions better. We're not saying you can't live a life without plants. You probably could. I'm not sure how great the life will be, but if you want your life to be better, incorporate more plants.
Yeah. Well, there's just so many stories out there of people really transforming their lives by switching to a more plant-based diet. And really quickly, because you mentioned athletes, there's another great documentary out there called The Game Changers,
Oh, I
which
haven't seen that one.
yeah, I highly recommend for anyone listening who is, likes to move their body and exercise or go for walks. It's just an incredibly empowering documentary to see that there are high-level athletes out there who are plant-based and they're performing at the same level that someone who's eating meat is. So there really is no difference from an athletic performance. In fact, I think there's actually a great benefit because we find that the recovery is better. Again, you're eating a lot of antioxidants. So there's less inflammation. Your body's able to use those foods to help it recover and perform better the next day.
Yeah. What is your opinion? Like, I will share that it's definitely an evolution, because first you hear something and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to eat oat milk in my coffee instead of, cow's milk. And so, of course, I created that transformation for myself. And then I found out that oat milk is high sugar and very glucose, conscious, and it spikes your insulin, which you don't want to do because that affects your body in different ways. And so then I got off of oat milk and now I'm coconut milk. If I
Oh,
do, any milk, it's to coconut. So what is your opinion about that? Because they do, like in that glucose revolution, she does talk about oat milk is not the best one for you.
yeah. So in my opinion, and I try not to, again, there's kind of the scientific aspect like that you're talking about where it does spike your glucose. And then there's this other side, because I come from more of an intuitive eating background, that it's like, well, if you really like oat milk in your coffee in the morning, if you really enjoy it, then go for it. So
Which I really did.
yeah. Yes.
Until I realized how bad it was for me.
Yep, absolutely. So I think the most important thing here is really trying to figure out what is going to work best for you. For you, Lydia, you're like, okay, I read this. Oat milk is not for me anymore. And I'd rather have
Yeah.
coconut milk because I know the impact that it has on my body. For somebody else, you're like, well, I actually really like the taste of oat milk. Even though I know it might spike my blood sugar, I'm going to continue drinking it because that's just what I prefer, maybe over coconut milk or something like that.
Well, and just so you know, I did do that for many months because I just said, I'm going to accept the consequences of the spiking. I mean, I did it. I was buying oat milk in Costco at the case amount. So it's cheaper, so I was like, okay, I'm going to finish this case. And then I wasn't shifting yet. And I was like, well, one more case,
Yep.
I just kept, doing it in spite of what I knew. And so I just know that everything's an evolution, and
Yes.
please, everybody, be kind to yourself, be loving to yourself, do what feels right for you. I definitely want to propose that people are just kind and gentle to themselves and
Yes.
don't beat themselves up. I'm just sharing my journey in the conversation. So this is my understanding and my journey. And now we're talking to an expert who, has had lots of customers and patients and clients and people that she's seen their lives change,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, absolutely. And I could definitely tell you a lot of stories about people's lives who have changed. But to go back to your point real quickly, with intuitive eating, which basically means listening to your body very, very, in very, very simple terms when it comes to eating certain foods or eating food in general. But the ultimate goal of intuitive eating is similar to what you're saying, Lydia, is to choose foods that honor your taste buds. So choose foods that taste good, but then also choose foods in conjunction with that that honor your health and make you feel good. And that is a constant evolution. I remember when they started making how do I put this, like alternative meat burgers, I guess, without like naming any names.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh yeah, exactly. So yeah, Beyond Burgers. And when those came out, I was like so excited and I was eating them. And then when I took the time to think about it and reflect on how it made me feel after I had a burger for dinner or something, I was like, you know what, this actually doesn't really make me feel that great. It's fun, it's innovative, and it tasted fairly good. But the more I thought about it, I was like, you know what, I actually don't really enjoy eating these as much as I thought I did, or as much as I enjoyed them at the beginning where there was some novelty. And so that's really important too, is to really recognize, again, going back to the origin of my story is, how is the food that you're eating impacting how you're feeling, and trying to make that connection as best as possible with every meal, but at the very least, just every once in a while, because that'll help drive your food choices too.
I believe that wholeheartedly. My sisters enjoy drinking alcohol, and I
Mm,
can't. Like, it makes me feel bad when I drink alcohol, and it's not that I don't want to. I want to drink alcohol,
yeah.
but when I do, I just don't feel good. So I have no desire. It doesn't haunt me. I don't have to white knuckle it. Like, for some people, it really makes them feel good. Now, a piece of chocolate cake, I'm white knuckling that.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, like, I do understand that shift can happen because I have that feeling around alcohol. I don't want to eat it, drink it, because it just doesn't make me feel good. But do I feel sometimes when I'm at a party or everyone, like, I
Yeah.
went to a wine tasting for a neighborhood function, and I was like, yeah, no, thank you. I don't really want any. And they're like, why are you at a wine tasting and you're not tasting any wine? So it is an uncomfortable choice. And my mom always felt uncomfortable going to social events and stuff too, because
Yeah.
they just didn't have food she was comfortable putting in her body a lot of
Yeah.
times. And so you kind of have to put snacks in your purse,
Yes, you
right?
do.
Or eat beforehand, right? And then
Exactly.
just stand around with a glass of water in your hand.
Yep.
Okay, so let's dive into, and I know we have a little bit more time, but I want to, if I want to work with you, let's go through the process. I'm going to pull up your website here.
Oh yeah.
And let me see if I can get this to show up on. Here we go. All
Oh
right,
yeah.
guys. All right, so here's her website. Am I able to change the page? I don't know. Let me see. Hold on. Can I change the page to, where would you want me to go?
Oh yeah. You
Am
can
I
just go.
am I changing the page? I can't
You
see.
are. Yep. You can just you can just go to, well, not that
Oh,
page, I guess.
not that.
Oh yeah, you're on
So,
a great page.
okay, well, I'll scroll down. All
Yep.
right. So there's some almonds. All right.
There's me. No, so what coaching looks like is I do have you go to this page specifically and apply to work together. Of course, make sure that it's a good fit for you, especially if this is something that you're wanting to do. And I recommend just reading through all of this and then going through the application process. And then what I do is I read through everything, make sure that you're a good fit, or I think that you would be a good fit to work together. And then we just hop on a phone call to make sure that it's a really great match for both of us, so that our personalities are aligned and your goals. I can help you with your goals that you're wanting to work toward. And from there, then we will schedule our coaching calls, go through all that and send you all the nitty-gritty details of onboarding, and we'll work together. So I've had clients come to me with outrageously high cholesterol, and I'll put them on a plant-based diet. And again, everything is gradual. So I'm never like, you have to go overnight. And I'm also never I never force anyone to go 100% plant-based. It has to feel aligned with you. So this journey, it has to feel good. It has to feel comfortable. Of course, I'm going to push you a little bit outside your comfort zone.
Challenge.
Yep, yep. But it's really important to ease into it and figure out what tools and resources from a plant-based perspective and also from an intuitive eating perspective are going to work best for you to help you with whatever it is that you're looking to work towards. So whether it's a health condition like high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, heart disease. I've had people come to me who've had multiple stents put in. They're like, I don't want to go back, under the knife or on the table. So they're like, what can we do to kind of help basically just clean up my arteries a little bit, which we can do. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. So you're
Yeah.
a great resource for people. So how can people connect with you? Tell us all the ways that they can follow you and find you. So I'll let you tell them.
So the best place to reach me is probably either through my website. There's a form where you can send me an email, or you can go to Instagram, and everything is under plant-centered nutrition. So my Instagram, all my social media handles, Facebook, TikTok, all those great things, even YouTube. And then my website is plantcenterednutrition.us.
.us. Okay,
Yes.
great. Are there any final words you want to share as we wrap up your episode? And I hope maybe you'll come back and tell us some new levels of understanding one day.
Sure, I would love to. So I think one of the main tips, and someone told me this, and it was like a light bulb moment for me, is if you're thinking about going plant-based, almost look at it like you're changing laundry detergent brands. So instead of buying the cow's milk that's maybe on the left in the grocery, you're just switching brands and buying almond milk or soy milk. Or instead of buying ground beef, you're just switching brands and maybe buying a black bean burger. And so I feel like we put a lot of pressure on ourselves that we have to either do it overnight or it has to be, quote, perfect, like we see on social media, but it really doesn't have to be. It can be incredibly simplistic, and it can be as easy as almost like switching laundry detergent brands because you're sick of your old laundry detergent. So you want to buy a new one that makes your clothes smell better, makes you feel good.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say I've really enjoyed watching Instagram and videos where people show you how to prepare things because
Yes.
it's like I have I have a new level of creativity and understanding that I can't create on my own. I can watch what other people are making. I'm like, that looks good. Maybe I should try that.
Yeah.
So it's definitely like a better world right now regarding being able to make those kinds of shifts because we have so much information at
Yep.
our fingertips with the internet. So that's
Yeah.
one good thing about the internet.
Yeah, it's true.
The other one is this podcast.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Well, I know you got to run. You probably have clients to see. So I hope you'll come back and see us and share it whenever you have wisdom to share. Reach out to me and we'll have you back on. And I would love to hear from you on, if you hear anybody that contacted you from the podcast, that would be great. I would
Absolutely.
love that. I would love that for my listeners because I'm happy when people are making positive changes
Yeah.
in their lives. So
Yep.
thank you so much for your time today. It was a joy getting to know you, actually.
Same to you, Lydia. I appreciate being here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We'll see you later. Hang in there. Bye.
Bye.